my kid actually, my 11-year-old, he remembers the days before Carnivore, and he says, "Daddy, I like you so much better now."
Marcus, how did you find Carnivore?
Well, that is my favorite question in the world, and I knew that question was coming, so I thought about it a few different ways. I kind of think about it like, like a how did you find Jesus kind of moment, where I heard about Carnivore, maybe for a few years, but then I really came to it about a year ago. Um, you know, uh, I love to say long story short, but this is the fullness of the story. Um, this really goes back to my whole journey, I should say, goes back to 1999. So I was in a car accident. I was in the passenger side of the vehicle. I was in high school. So it was, one of the last days of school. We were excited. We're leaving. And, my friend is driving. I'm in the passenger seat. And, we had to stop short behind a vehicle that stopped short behind a vehicle in front of it. And then the car behind us had to stop, but the car behind them kept going, which launched that car into our car, which launched our car into the car in front. It was a kind of a mess. Now, when that was happening, I remember I heard screeching tires. I'm, 17, 18 years old. I'm curious. So I turned my head to look like this, and in that position got launched forward. So that right there pretty much wrecked about 3 or 4 areas of my spine. I lost track of the Elvis and that. I don't really know. All I remember is that, the between the workers' comp doctors and my doctors and the insurance doctors, they all agreed I had permanent nerve damage, permanent spinal damage, developed traumatized and arthritic discs, as well as some other damage that was there. So here I am, 17 years old, and looking at the future as, hey, what if I do live to 80 years old? That means I'm going to be in constant pain for the rest of my life. Okay, that didn't sound like fun, but it's what I had to deal with. Pain management. So for fast forward for the next 20 years, I've been on pain medications, physical therapy attempts, and I say attempts because of where the injuries were located. It's very hard to do physical therapy because one exercise would then put another area of my spine in traction. It would just hurt, that much more. So that was very, very difficult. Required a lot of medication in order to do any kind of physical therapy. I wound up turning to drugs and alcohol for a time, and just to try to numb it out on top of them. So it was just chemical after chemical. It was depression, whole nine. Then it eventually, I'm a firm believer in spiritual and all that, and I know my parents were praying for me and that kind of thing, and I believe that somewhere along the way, I got the inspiration to just kind of take a look at life in general as it was going, and saw that this is just no way to live. So being that I could see what I was doing, I have some friends that are envious of me because I was also smoking cigarettes at the time. Trying to be so cool that I was smoking the Camels without a filter. So I literally took the filter off and smoked them that way, like just to give it an extra oomph or something. I don't know. But my friends were jealous because I was able to one day just kind of look at that cigarette and say, what am I doing? I put it down, threw that pack out, never picked up a cigarette again. Now, that was maybe about close to 20 years ago at this point. It's like more like 15, somewhere between 15 and 20. So again, in and out of pain medications, but now I was able to take the medication as I needed it instead of just taking it to kind of numb life in general, as I was doing. From that point, I've tried my own physical therapy. I kind of developed my own sort of stretching routines and strengthening routines. I don't know if you've seen the movie, the Kill Bill movies from Quentin Tarantino. Years ago, I don't know, I think it was the second one where she was in a coma. She was waking up from the coma, and she was trying to will herself to move, like she just get the toes moving a little bit. That's kind of what I wound up doing, just building this mind muscle connection. Now throughout this time, um, I was gaining weight, just getting fatter, because you can't really, that kind of the spinal injury, you can't really work out like everybody else does. So and also I didn't know at the time that my diet was such a major factor. So I would work out when I could. And then when I did get the right combination of, it was a good day where it wasn't too cold and it wasn't raining, and I had the right mixture of medications, then I went ahead and I went to the gym. And when I would go to the gym, I would work out every muscle that I could, and then I would be laid out basically for a week, because just the pain and just the recovery was just horrible, horrific. But I kept doing it over and over for years. Um, Eventually, I want to say it's maybe about 7 or 8 years ago, I encountered keto. So I said, okay, keto, anti-inflammatory. I'm very inflamed. I'm taking all this stuff plus ibuprofens and that, and let me try to bring this inflammation down. Now, I didn't really understand the fullness of inflammation. I just said, okay, well, when you have a headache, that's considered inflammation, and you take an ibuprofen or whatever it is. I said, inflammation, my spine's inflamed. Let me go ahead and do this keto diet. So I did the keto diet. I wouldn't say I entirely did it correctly, but I did get some positive results. The reason I say I didn't do it entirely correctly is because I would do it really well for about 2 weeks, and then I would reward myself with McFlurry from McDonald's. Say, I did such a good job. I deserve a treat, So because all those cravings were there, like, and then I started mixing in the idea of intermittent fasting, because then once you start, I guess this is the positive side of the algorithm, right? So once you start looking at some of these videos, I started looking at keto. Then a lot of keto friendly folks are into fasting and intermittent fasting, so I started learning about that, Jason Fung and all this. And then I saw Carnivore every now and then, and I would watch like one short Carnivore related video. I was like, oh, that's crazy. I can't do that. That's too extreme. I'll stick with keto, because I'm thinking what everybody else is thinking. Where's the fiber coming from? You got to have some kind of vegetables. There's no nutrition in that. Meat only? Are you kidding? So I on and off keto for a while. And then I just went off of keto because I was just bouncing around too much, and I started to develop some digestive issues, to the point where the doctors couldn't actually figure out what was going on. And at that point, I started gaining weight again. Now, I'm a small guy, 5'5", and I got up pretty close to 190. I was about 186. Now, while that may not seem like a whole heck of a lot to some people, number one, it's on a small frame. Number two, I'm dealing with all that spinal damage from before. So all that weight is just pulling down just daily on my spine. I'm at a level 10 pain level every single day, smiling just because I don't want to get other people depressed. I don't want other people to feel sorry for me. I want them to, live their lives and enjoy life, when they're around me. So, but yeah, just absolute misery every single day, every moment of every day. My kid actually, my 11-year-old, he remembers the days before Carnivore, and he says, "Daddy, I like you so much better now." So then kind of get to that. So as when I just came to another one of those wake up sort of moments where I said, I'm just getting bigger, and I know at least keto can bring me back to where I need to be. So I'm thinking, what is going on with me? I didn't also realize that when the hormones are out of whack, they will send you wacky messages, and they will send you cravings that you probably shouldn't be having. Like, that's not the right tuning that you should have in your body. But I was trying to
Like
follow,
McFlurries.
oh, absolutely, like McFlurries, like Oreo cookies, like all sorts of things. So I decided, you know what? I know that stuff is not good for me. I have to stop. So it was just pure, sheer white knuckle grip strength to say, all right, I need to just at least get back to keto. So then as I was getting into keto, I fasted again. I came out of the fast, went back into keto. And then um, all of a sudden, I couldn't get out of bed. Well, first of all, there was 1 week where I couldn't get out of bed due to the pain level in my spine. Then the next day after that, I was walking. I was picking up. It was like a small shopping bag with a couple of clothes in it, and then I just collapsed to the floor. My legs completely gave out on me. I thought that's it. I broke something. I'm paralyzed. I couldn't get off of the floor for a few hours. Nobody else was home. I waited until my wife did get home. She saw me on the floor. We went to the hospital. And so that was a scary moment that also kind of made me continue with keto, say, okay, I have to do something to get myself better. Then maybe about a month and a half after that, all of a sudden I couldn't get out of bed again, but for a different reason. Now my stomach was just in horrible shape. I thought, okay, maybe it's a stomach bug or something. And that lasted it went into about 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, then a month. I had a hard time eating. I couldn't eat anything. Then I started bleeding every day. Like, I just look in the toilet every day. There's blood. I said, this is a problem. So went to the doctor, went to the specialist. They explored me every which way while I was knocked out, of course. I wouldn't have had it any other way. And they couldn't find exactly what was going on. They had me. I don't know if you've ever experienced one of those pill cameras. So they had me swallow a pill camera. The thing looks like a mini submarine. My mind goes back to I think it's an 80s or 90s movie, Inner Space. Where they shrunk the giant like submarine down and went into the person. So I swallowed the pill camera. I wore this this kind of electronic belt or something that's supposed to track all the movement and take pictures and transmit back and forth. And they actually got no data out of it because that thing was in my system so long that it lost power. So they lost the camera inside of me. They never found it again. Guess it came out at some point because that was over a year ago. And so that was interesting. So, but it turns out that they basically diagnosed me with stomach paralysis, which meant that nothing was really moving at a proper pace. It wasn't like constipation or anything like that, but I couldn't eat. I could barely eat anything. And I felt starving and full at the same time all the time. Sometimes when you're hungry, you have a craving for this or that. I couldn't even have a craving because I felt full, but yet I felt hungry. And I mean, my body was absolutely starving for nutrition. So I said, okay, let me try. I can't move. I had to quit work. I couldn't work anymore. So I have to try something extreme. This is an extreme situation. I have to try something extreme, or basically I'm going to die. I mean, I didn't really see any other possibility because I was withering away and I couldn't eat. So here we go. I started exploring, Ken Berry's channel. Started exploring Dr. Baker. I landed on Dr. Chaffee, who's plants are trying to kill you. So it's like, yeah, I guess they kind of are. So I said, all right, let me try this. I mean, even though I can't really eat anything, let me try this. So I forgot what I had first. It was like a piece of chicken or steak or something, but just like little small bites. And I'd say within about 2 days, everything turned around. All of a sudden, everything felt right inside. I felt I had more energy. I was sleeping better. I was up on my feet. Within about, I'd say within 2 weeks, I was actually running around with my kids. Now, my younger son is 5 years old, so he hasn't experienced too much of the old one. I mean, he did experience the old me, but too young to really grasp it. But I mean, I'm racing at that time he's 10 years old, now 11. Just racing him up and down the street. We're just literally running everywhere. And running is something I haven't done since before that accident in '99. And this only took 2 weeks to turn around. So, I still had cravings and everything like that. Just I couldn't, bring myself near the bakery section at a grocery store at that point because I would have been too tempted. But then I guess the other thing that made me not want to necessarily go back to the way it was before was that carnivore transition period when you go at it really strong, when it's like all or nothing approach. Your digestive system tells you it's an all or nothing approach. And so I didn't want to go through that experience again. So I said, okay, well, if I went through that to come here, I'm probably going to go through that to go back. So let's just avoid all that. So I grinned and bared it for the next couple of weeks. And then after that, no matter how much my friends tried to tempt me, because they tried hard, it's like, you sure? They're like waving the stuff in front of my face. You sure you don't want this cake? You sure you don't want this pizza? And just no more cravings, just literally no more desire for it. I'm almost 1 full year. I'm actually, let's see, today's Sunday. On Tuesday, it will be 365 days since I went carnivore, and just life is 100%, 1,000% different. I feel like I'm 15 years old again, just with all the energy I have. The mental clarity, the brain fog I had for 20 years, I didn't realize how much it was affecting me until all of a sudden I was super productive at work. So I got like multiple kind of promotions, at work. Teaching. So here's my typical day. My typical day is I do my day job, then I come out of there, and then I do multiple hours. Well, I drive for like an hour, and then I teach guitar and piano, like bounce around house to house for the next couple of hours. So I'm essentially working like, I don't know, 16, 17 hours a day. And that's why I'm on the road right now. I can actually kind of pan over. I got the guitar in the back seat there. So after this, I'm gonna go to teach. But it's like it just feels like it doesn't. It's not wearing me out. It's not depressing me. It's not pulling me down. I just feel like, yeah, okay, what's the next thing? Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and do the next thing. It's because my body is so satisfied nutritionally. I've never felt this before carnivore. So people ask me, are you sure you won't go back? Maybe, you do this for a little bit longer and then you go back. Yeah, no, it's just night and day. There's no way I could possibly go. I mean, go back to feeling like garbage? No, thanks.
So, well, congratulations and happy upcoming anniversary.
Thanks.
But like, I'm just 20 odd years of being in constant pain, and then within 2 weeks it's just gone.
Yeah.
Like, what? I mean, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I was so I'm Hispanic, Latin heritage. You're taught to be the strong man and everything like that. But I literally cried that day when I woke up, and it didn't take me 5 minutes to put my socks on. It didn't take me another 3 minutes to try to get my leg in my pants, or to just sit up in bed. Period. I mean, I all of a sudden I was moving around just one morning, and I literally cried. Like I sobbed, and it's just I forgot what that felt like. I never even entered my mind that it would be possible to not feel pain. I mean, sometimes I overdo it now. It's like I feel like I'm making up for lost time. I'm overdoing things. I'll get a little twinge or something, but that's just because I overworked myself. It's like, oh, okay. And then I remember whatever exercise I need to do in order to work out that little muscle group or whatever it is. Then boom, I pop right back to normal, and just the pain is gone. That's just incredible.
Yeah, it feels like if you're just talking to anybody about something like this, it can feel, I mean, maybe like, well, okay, so you can put your socks on or something. Big deal, right? I've got bigger fish to fry. I've got bills to pay. I've got blah blah blah. But you don't realize how big an impact that kind of stuff has on your life until it's happening, right?
Absolutely. Like
Still,
I
you're
didn't
struggling to
even,
put your socks on, and yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
I didn't realize how much time I was essentially losing every day, due to this. Because I would say, all right, I have to leave the house at, let's say, 9 o'clock in the morning. All right, that means I have to make sure that I wake up at 7, so I have enough time to get out of bed. Then, yeah, put the socks on, put the pants on, put whatever, take care of my hygiene. And, people make the jokes about, like the wife or something like that taking a super long time to leave the house. But no, that was me. My wife was always with it. She was always able to get ready really quickly. So we had kind of the opposite thing happening there. But now I'm back to the stereotypical. All right, honey, you coming down yet? Yeah.
So, uh, so like, how have you got to this point as far as with your eating? How are you eating day to day?
Sure. Well, I saw various people talking on the different groups and things like that as I was getting in, that at some point you kind of your body starts sending you the right signals to let you know what you need. And I found that as I experimented with that a little bit, um, I, I'm now basically eating according to what my body needs. So if I, for example, am lacking maybe a little bit of energy that day. It's like I could use a little boost, like where it used to be running to the local Dunkin' Donuts and grabbing a cup of coffee. Now it's a matter of, okay, how much salt am I going to add to my water today? So I'll do something like that. If I'm, or maybe if I'm lacking a little general strength and I don't want to eat a full meal. Just basically, I just need just a little something that it just feels like I'm where I want to be here. I feel like I'm right here. So I don't need a whole, pound of steak. I'll have a couple of chicken legs or something. Um, Aside from that, I make scrambled eggs for my kids almost every morning. So I whip up maybe 8 to 10 eggs. I give them about 2 eggs worth because that's about what they can handle, and I eat all the rest. And then later at night, I'm cooking up chuck roast, bottom kind of stuff. I look for the fattier, cheaper cuts because when you're eating this every day, you have to try to be economical about it. So I probably eat on average, maybe about a pound and a half to 2 pounds of meat, daily, mostly like 90% steak and the rest maybe eggs. Chicken really doesn't do much for me. I don't feel, elevated when I eat chicken, but sometimes it just fills in a little gap of something. But the eggs themselves do a great job.
And the kids are, benefiting from it as well with the eggs and stuff that you're cooking. So that's good. I remember when my daughter was really young and she's still in a high chair, and like she would wake up early, and I was always the one getting up early. So I'd kind of sit her at the end of the kitchen in a high chair, and I'd be cooking up the eggs and stuff. I'd feed her eggs. She loved it. It's just like kids naturally want to eat this stuff. You put the broccoli down for them or something like that, and they're like,
They
"Yeah,
don't
no,
want it.
this is what are you trying to do? Poison me?"
Yeah, it's Dr. Shafee is saying the things that the kids want to say but are too afraid to say to their parents, and he has the
Exactly.
science to back him up.
Yeah. So how about your wife? Is she happy for you, but she's not into this, or is she somewhat getting into carnivore and eating more meat?
No, she's as a result of this. I'll keep it PG. She's a happy wife, and but she is happy that I'm in this because she did see that turnarounds, with keto as things were starting to come through. So she was happy for that. But she also saw my back and forth with that. So when I decided that's it, I'm going carnivore. I remember she told me, she says, okay, so how long are you going to do this? How long are you going to stick with this for? And so I'm like, don't say it like that. Come on, but it was kind of what I did. It's like I showed her that pattern with keto. So, what's going to be different here? But within the first month, she and I both knew that this was it, because everything turned around, everything changed. I was productive around the house. But I mean, she was doing the lion's share of the work. Everything that needs to get done, between laundry, between shuttling the kids around, just everything. I'm very, very grateful, that she was there to take care of that, and that she did it. Yeah, we had our tiffs every now and then, some some arguments back and forth, because that's a very frustrating thing to have to do. But as I turned around, and as my life is turning around here, I became finally the dad that I wanted to be, the husband that I wanted to be, and so my family is very, very grateful for it. My wife might be going on Carnivore pretty soon, may or may not be. She has an issue in her foot, where she may have to get surgery that's going to have her bedridden for, they estimate, about a month or so. So she's starting to think in terms of, okay, what's going to give me the best chances of healing? What's going to, what's going to really make the most sense? And if I'm in bed, what's my husband going to feed me? So, steak, right? so so if she does, then she's still on the fence about it. But she knows that it's the nutritious way to go. She knows it's the right thing, the right way to go. I know this is actually very different from what it was months ago, when she said, look, I know it's healthy, but you're not going to take my pasta away from me. You're not going to take my delicious food away from me. But now she's thinking more in terms of long-term health and longevity, which is a good thing.
Nice. So how about in terms of friends and extended family? Is anyone kind of, you mentioned that they were trying to tempt you earlier on, but like, how are things now? Has anyone gone, you know what, you're doing really well, I might want to give that a try myself?
Sure, great question. Well, it's as things for some reason normally are. It's I have one or two every now and then that are genuinely curious, because they saw the bigger me, and now they see the much, much smaller me, and say, wow, and they see the difference of how I was. I don't think I mentioned this, but amidst everything, even as early as, I'd say, about a year ago, like a year and a month ago, I was walking around with a back brace and a cane, because it was really hard to get around. So they see that massive, massive difference. And so I have, one or two every now and then that ask me a little bit of something. Then I have others who are like, yeah, that is so great that that's working for you. I could never do that. It's like, yes, you can. You really, really can. But, you can't force people. So I try to be as inviting as possible. I consider myself, I mean, I'm an associate pastor at my church, so I'm an evangelist in that sense, but I also consider myself a bit of a carnivore evangelist as well, because, hey, if the door opens, I'm there, it's just, especially when it comes to my friends and family, it's like, you saw me before, you see me now. The only thing that changed is the way that I ate. That's it.
That's an amazing contrast to see you go from a back brace and a cane to running down the street after your kids, right?
Yeah. And I remember it was kind of chilly that day too. And anytime that I'd be walking, I mean, if it was chilly outside, even if it was nice and we had the temperature up inside, I would still feel it. My back would be tense, and that would just lead to more pain, let alone being outside when it's cold. But yeah, I remember it was chilly that day. I was wearing a t-shirt. My son was wearing a t-shirt. We were walking down the block from one of my guitar lessons. They just happened to come out with me. It was a nice day that day, and I had a little extra time in between lessons. So I knew that there was a butcher near one of my students' houses that I wanted to check out, and we ran there. And my son was absolutely thrilled through the roof because he's the same one that, before saw me, oh, no, son, I'm sorry, I can't carry your bag. No, son, I can't do this. No, I can't do that. You want to play? I can't do that till later, maybe. Let's see how my back feels. And now it's not like that anymore.
That's awesome. So, I guess going forward is just carnivore all the way, right?
100%. Yeah. I mean, as long as they don't do weird things to the food supply and cut us off from that, yeah, it's carnivore all the way. And quick note, my older son, like he saw the difference. He's like, I want to get better at sports and everything like that. I want to try to go carnivore. So I was like, okay, well, make sure that you know, because you know what Daddy went through in the first week. So Daddy was at the bathroom like every day. So anyway, caveat for whoever's jumping on, just know that you want to do this. And he said, yeah, I'm going to do it. So he grinned and he bore that, that transition. He made it through the transition, had a couple more days. And then right after that was a friend's birthday after friend's birthday after friend's birthday. And I think the social pressure was a bit too much. So he's like, Dad, I had cake. I was like, okay, look, you know what? You're young. You don't have any metabolic problems right now. If you want to revisit this later, we can. Don't feel forced. But he says, maybe over the summer. So again, I'm not gonna force him. At the same time, I do cringe every time I watch the family eat anything other than meat, knowing what I know now about nutrition and how much there's like the plant toxins and everything like that, let alone what the sugar does. I cringe every time I see it. But I mean, I'm not going to force it. I don't want them to hate me, but at the same time, they see my transformation. Even my little one is 5 years old, doesn't really understand much. He holds up a fruit snack in front of me and says, "Daddy, is this carnivore?" I say, no, son, that's not exactly carnivore. It's like, oh, okay, I want to be carnivore like you. I was like, okay, well, one day, so we'll get there. Thankfully, they're still metabolically, I think, healthy enough to be able to handle the stuff. And then when they're, at a point where they can actually for real make that decision, I think they're going to want to do it.
If one of your friends was to ask you, like, what should I do? I want to get this started. I've got some joint pain I want to take care of. I want to lose some weight. What's the best way for me to get started with this? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I would totally say, so for anyone who's looking to get started, I'll say there are three things that took me a little bit of time to learn that I really think were instrumental once I did learn them. Number one, eat more than you think you need to eat. Otherwise, you're going to get hungry once you go through that nutrition, and then the cravings and everything kick in. If you eat more than you need to eat, number one, it's going to give you the nutrition you need. Number two, it's going to help you avoid cravings and all those things of going down the wrong path. I said three things. Let's hope I remember them all. All right. The second is, right, the more fat you eat, the more fat you lose. I had 60 pounds of fat. I lost all that in 6.5 months. Gone because I kept everything fat heavy. Fat is nutritious. Fat is gold. I mean, fat is what your body needs to move around. And then the third, eat muscle to gain muscle. I was kind of wasting away because that's one thing that I was afraid of. It's like, okay, well, everyone says you need carbs to get muscle and stuff like that, and power in the gym. And I found that I have no problem when I go to the gym. When I go to the gym, I'm working out for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I have responsibilities at home. I should get there. Where before it'd be like, oh, I'm exhausted and I have to go home. But now it's I have things I need to do. So I leave the gym not because of getting exhausted, but because of responsibility. And also it's there's no soreness. I remember this blew me away. I went to the gym for the first time, like to do a real workout, because again, I've been dealing with the back pain. I've only been able to do like partial workouts, but I did a full workout. I was actually testing myself. I said, all right, let me see how far I've gotten, and let me see if I'm going to be laid out for a week or something like that. So I pushed hard, 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 hard as much as I could. And I got home, and yeah, I did wear myself out that day. I think it was like a 3.5 hour workout. It was just insane. Um, I was expecting to just be hurting the next day. The next day, I woke up. I was a little bit stiff because my muscles were, worked out, but I was still able to put my socks on. I wasn't in any pain. I wasn't even sore. I was like, how on earth is this possible? How can you not be sore after a crazy workout? Like, everybody gets sore after a workout. How can it not be sore? And then I started going to the gym at that point twice a day. I literally carved out the time to go to the gym twice a day. I don't do that now. My time is it's pretty stranded. So now I rely on middle of the night. I use the push-ups app, one of those apps that like say, all right, do 29 push-ups, then do 27, then do 25. So it's like then it adds up to being like a little over 100 push-ups or something like that, and it grows incrementally every time. So I'm at a little over 100 push-ups in one of those workouts, which is doing fine for me. I want to head back to the gym, but like knowing that I can do it and I haven't been able to do it for 20 years, it's just I'm elated. I don't even know the right word. Yeah, I can't even express how good I feel about that.
Nice. So can you talk a little bit about your YouTube channel? Where can we find you and what kind of videos are you doing and you've got coming up?
Sure. So the what's coming up is a little in flux because it's just as I get an idea, I want to go ahead and make something. So it's basically Carnivore Mark 81. Now, the reason I had to put an 81 on there is because somebody else took Carnivore Mark on YouTube and they didn't do anything with it. It's a blank page. Like, come on, I could have used that, but so they got to it first. So Carnivore Mark 81. And so far it's I have some videos up there about my experience, some things that I've learned. I have just like 2 or 3 long form videos and some chopped up shorts and things up there right now. But I'm going to kind of continue that trend. Things that I'm thinking about. I'm maybe not as well versed in all the studies as some of these great, these greats like, again, Dr. Vadia, Dr. Baker, or any of these guys. I don't even have a doctor in front of my name. I'm not going to try to claim to be a doctor. But if I come across something, I want to try to share it. Like I just had my labs done yesterday, and I'm waiting for the results. So I'm going to be posting about that, which is that's going to be an interesting video because I kind of had an argument with my doctor last year, and she was very panicked about my LDL level because at that point I was on keto while I went there, so my LDL was a little bit elevated. So she was super panicked, even though I was feeling better than I was. She's like, "No, you have to take the statin." So before I accepted the statin, I decided to look it up. And I looked up all the side effects and all those sorts of things. I'm like, oh, man, almost everybody who is on statins, they have problems. My wife was on a statin, and she wound up stopping because she's like, I can't think straight anymore. Like I can't, like my brain is not functioning. And I found out, what was causing that. I'm like, yeah, I don't want that to happen to me. So, and this I didn't mention during our chat here. I was on 7 medications that I was taking 3 times daily. In addition to that, I was also taking I don't know if where you are, they have the GNC stores, but they have the GNC branded vitamins where it's like a bunch in like this little pack. So I was taking the 7 medications plus that whole little pack, which tastes terrible and smells terrible, but I was like, this is healthy, right? So I was doing all that every single day. Um, and this time around when I went there, they were very confused. They said, okay, you lost a lot of weight. I was like, yeah, I did. Say they're asking me all kind of questions. How you doing? So they checked my vitals. My vitals were like spot on. Like you're in really good shape right now. Okay, thank you. Um, And then they started asking me about all those medications. Like, nope, I'm not taking that anymore. Okay, how about this one? Nope, not taking that anymore. How about that one? Nope, not taking that anymore. And they were thrilled that, oh, great, that's fantastic. You're not taking those. Then when it came to the statin question, said, okay, so are you taking that statin? I think it was a torvastatin that they wanted me to take. And I said, yeah, no, I didn't touch the stuff. And that's when the conversation just kind of stopped yesterday. They wanted me to take that statin so bad. I'm like, no, I did all this without taking statins or anything like that. Let's check my blood work. And so I before I went, I knew I was gonna get my labs done. So I looked for Dr. Barry's Common Sense Labs. So I downloaded that. There's also Mike Mutzel, High Intensity Health. He's got a lab work cheat sheet. So with the combination of that, I got as full of the panel as I could possibly get. I said, okay, give me this, 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 and this. I felt like I was, Gordon Ramsay going into one of those restaurants saying, give me every one of your dishes. Let me try them out. Yeah. And so had the blood work done. I'm curious to see what's going to happen because, I wanted to make sure I did that because number one, I want to know what's going on in my body. Number two, I want to be able to show the doctor, or at least try to show her, that that one LDL number is not the end all be all. Like that's not the actual indicator. There's so much more. So I want to show her through all the other indicators. Ideally, now again, I don't know the results, but I'm guessing based on how I feel, it's going to come out pretty darn well. So if there's anything there, then I'll deal with that and work with that. But I really doubt that there is.
It's always interesting to me when I talk to the doctors, like I'm kind of getting used to having to have arguments with them as well, rather than just having a rational conversation. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about anything, weights, your other numbers, anything at all. As soon as they see an LDL number that's elevated past what their expectations are, that's it. They cannot focus on anything else. And
that's it. Yeah, they lose sight of it all.
Yeah, you don't get, oh, look, looks like you're completely metabolically healthy. Maybe this number's a bit high or something like that. It's just look at this number. That's all they can focus on. Yeah. So I'll link to your channel in the show notes. And Marcus, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me. Absolutely.